This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the build.
Tony Klausing, Stable Channels, USA.
Leave Me Alone and I'll Make You Rich is a non-fiction book written by Eric Bergman. It details Eric's journey from being deeply unhappy in his corporate job to becoming a successful entrepreneur and multimillionaire. The book explores themes of entrepreneurship, personal growth, and finding fulfillment outside traditional career paths. Bergman shares insights, strategies, and lessons he learned along the way, aiming to inspire others to pursue their passions and create their own path to success. Did this book convince you to work on Bitcoin?
The book that I'm talking about, Leave Me Alone and I'll Make You Rich, is actually by Art Carden and Deirdre McCluskey, which is an economics textbook about classical liberalism. So, no.
Is it true that you have developed an iOS app?
True.
Do you own a pet?
No.
Will you be still living in the USA 5 years from now?
Yes.
Is your Stable Channel app already live on Umbrel?
No.
Did you buy a physical good using Bitcoin last week?
No.
Modern monetary theory, MMT, is the idea that governments that have their own currency, called a fiat currency or cash currency, can basically print money whenever they need it and don't have to worry about running out. Modern portfolio theory, MPT, is the mathematics used by fund managers to create portfolios with a good balance between risk and reward. Do you prefer MMT over MPT?
No.
Considering the recent developments in the space, do you think that the Lightning Network will become the dominant method for global payments in the next 10 years?
No.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 111 of Connect the World, and this show is made possible by BL3P, European Bitcoin Exchange, and BRINGIN. Thank you guys for helping us out with our mission and, of course, to connect the world with Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. And if you also want to help out, then subscribe at our YouTube channel or head over to our Telegram groups where you can ask us anything. And, of course, you can always make a donation.
Conecta el mundo.
Welcome to the show, Tony.
Yeah, welcome, Tony.
Hey. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
This was the first time that I asked a guest if he or she is Satoshi Nakamoto. And I was thinking, how did I end with this question? Steph
because normally it's different.
Me, right? Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm flattered, I must say.
But you aren't.
It's not our guy, Edward.
No. But, well, Tony, this is going to be, I think, Steph, a technical episode. So I love it.
I did my homework, man. And as you know, I'm not that technical, so I'm going to ask stupid questions like I always do. Well, I'll do fine. I'll do fine.
Of course you will.
Hey, Tony, you developed an iOS app. I saw it was like a text-to-speech app.
Yeah, that's right. It's called Screen to Speech, like the number 2. And the idea is to take written content and then use the inbuilt iOS text to speech mechanism. It's like Siri, kind of, and then it reads it to you. So it's a hobby of mine, is to make these little apps. And when you use the inbuilt features that Apple already gives you, you can make apps, really quickly.
Yeah.
So,
and it was your first iOS app?
No, gosh, I made an iOS app. I used to live in Chicago, and I made an app that found like happy hour deals, like 8 years ago or something like that. So I've been messing around with mobile apps for a while.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Hey, and you said you will be still living in the USA 5 years from now, because I digged a bit into your X or I keep saying Twitter history, and you were like, oh my gosh, like with the new legislations and all, and all the buzz in the US. I don't know if I'm going to keep my family here, or I just want to move maybe. But you changed your mind, or?
Well, I think I said a double the likelihood, and so whatever that likelihood. Yeah. But it depends where the precedent goes with all this regulatory stuff and how difficult it is to start up a Bitcoin business on a forward-looking basis in the U.S. But as Bitcoiners, we can't lose the USA. I think we need to stay and fight.
Yeah, I agree. And are you planning to start your own Bitcoin business then, or it's just because you're it's important for you that businesses can start in the US, or?
Definitely both. And people always think about the US as being a bastion of freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
True.
And I hope that we can maintain that going forward. And I'm interested to start a Bitcoin business. And I hope that going forward, the U.S. is going to be receptive and open to Bitcoin businesses. I think they should be.
Yeah. And what type of business, or can you share something with us?
Sure. So it's related to stable channels, which I think we'll talk about today.
Yeah.
And the idea would to provide services around about lessening Bitcoin's volatility for users and giving them Bitcoin-backed stable dollar balances on Lightning.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
Hey, the question about MMT and MPT, and you didn't prefer MMT over MPT. Can you elaborate on that? It was the idea that governments that have their own currency, right, that they just can basically print, whenever they need it, and
it's so foolish. It's such a foolish concept. MMT is. And I think the reason is because governments can't allocate capital as well as private individuals is, right?
Yeah.
And then another reason is it gets back to kind of what I think one of Keynes's main mistakes was he said, well, in times where the economy is going downwards, the government needs to step in and do deficit spending, right? And support the economy and raise aggregate demand. But the challenge there is that in good times, when the government runs a surplus, they never want to save. They still want to spend. So it's a little bit naive on the politics. I think this whole MMT.
It's like a drug addict that needs to suddenly stop using drugs, right?
Yeah, we're thoroughly addicted across the Western world.
They just don't. They just never quit.
It's not going to work. No, it's not going to work. No. Hey, Tony, what brought you, because you're developing for quite some while now then.
That's right.
Talked about the iOS app you did, but I can imagine that it was not only iOS apps, but maybe some more. What brought you to Bitcoin? What's your story?
Yeah, so I got into Bitcoin a number of years ago. I had started a crowdfunding startup. And one of the co-founders of that startup was a very technical guy and was early to Bitcoin and got me thinking about it. He introduced me to it from a technical side of things. And I was really fortunate to have that kind of technical background to understand Bitcoin from a technical perspective. But I got into software just a year or two before that. I had dropped out of an economics PhD. So I've always been really interested in
finance.
And I was like Austrian pilled, before I was orange pilled. So it was the tech and the economics combo made me a prime candidate to get orange pilled. I won't say it happened overnight. It took a few years. And, but my conviction in Bitcoin grew and grew over the years. And for the better part of the last decade, I've worked in traditional finance. I've been a software developer in traditional finance. In fact, I worked at JP Morgan on their stablecoin related projects there. And while doing that, was a Bitcoiner. And, I see a lot of opportunities with Lightning now and doing things a lot better on Bitcoin. And I think that TradFi and the crypto VC ecosystem underestimates Bitcoin and Bitcoin technology, and it's something that I wanted to dedicate my time and effort to.
But it was like the perfect storm for you then. If like you were studying economics, and then a friend of yours got you orange pilled while you already was. But because maybe can you explain how did you become a Austrian or Austrian pilled as you said? So because in at the university they got you teach Keynes, right? So it's like a whole different type of economics, right? With the Austrian economics, did they teach you also the Austrian economics?
No, they don't teach Austrian economics. To me, I don't like calling it Austrian economics. I just like to call it good economics. It's like calling it Austrian economics is almost undersells it, right? I think that in economics, like the first day of class, they draw up on their demand, supply and demand graph, and they say assume perfect competition, assume perfect information. And then from the beginning, when they taught that, I was like, wait a second, assume perfect information. You've already assumed, away what it means to be a human. And so I think that economics is kind of mainstream economics is missing this idea of subjective value, and how it's not like processes that drive economic innovation more as it is like individual actions that are the engine of economic growth. And emphasizing entrepreneurship, individual creativity, and their role in markets is really what got me interested in Austrian economics. And then I ended up going into the doctorate in economics route, and there it was like no better, right? They were not receptive to my Austrian, my inclination towards reading it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a real shame because I think that we should harken back to Adam Smith and a more holistic understanding of what economics is good for, and there's other reasons too. Like academia is real slow, and I wanted to build stuff, and like get into software, and I saw a lot of opportunity in software, so I don't regret it.
No, okay, but this was one of the main reasons you dropped out, because it wasn't aligned with your vision on the economics also.
That's definitely a part of it. Yeah.
Interesting. And then also, I mean, it's funny that you had all the pieces of the puzzle, but it wasn't a puzzle yet, right? So and now it clicked for you. I can imagine then with Bitcoin and all. And
it
then,
lights the fire also that you need to for this ambition to actually dedicate your time.
For me, it was like a slow buildup, and it wasn't like I tell people it took me 4 years to understand Bitcoin, and then it took me another 4 years to understand the Lightning Network. So, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm also no dummy. And, it's a serious effort to really understand Bitcoin, and it's a lifelong, in my opinion, it's a lifelong effort and something that's worthwhile to dedicate your life's work to. I think it's the same for me. I'm definitely dedicating my whole life.
When did it begin?
I hope my wife is not in the room here, because then I get slapped again.
So much time gets into
time
it
with the kids and me. No. But okay, cool, man. Yeah, okay. So and now you're explaining your journey, and you say it's like 4 years understanding Bitcoin, and then also 4 years the Lightning, because some people forget that we're just in the Lightning Network bubble, right? Edward, we talk with people about the Lightning Network every week,
and it's such a small bubble.
Yeah, but I when I talk about Bitcoin, but I mean I can't even talk about the Lightning Network outside of my bubble. I mean, my friends they know a bit about Bitcoin, but explaining the Lightning Network to them, I mean it's you have to understand so much more before you can fall into this rabbit hole. So
I always tend to explain the layer 2 concept of layer 2s in the fiat world, right? That makes it a little bit more tangible, but it is still difficult.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
It is. Yeah.
But it is what it is. And now we are going to talk about stable channels, making it even more technical, Tony. But,
let's just up the ante, you know.
I remember that we talked with Dusty Demon about splicing, and with Nifty also. Those episodes are epic. So let's start.
Let's do it. Are you ready, Tony? Because we have to do it all in 21 minutes.
All right, let's go.
The 21 minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet. In short, what are stable channels?
Stable channels are regular Lightning channels that have been repurposed to keep one side of the Lightning channel stable in terms of some like reference asset. And let's think about it as like US dollars. And so the idea is, Edward, if we have a channel with each other and you have one Bitcoin on your side and one Bitcoin on my side, let's say the current price, it's May 2024, is $62,000. Then I say, hey, I'm going to keep you stable at $62,000. And so if the price of Bitcoin goes down, then it takes more Bitcoin to keep you stable at $64,000, right? And so I send you Bitcoin. And then on the other side, if the price of Bitcoin goes up, it takes less Bitcoin to keep you stable at $64,000. So you send money to me. So another way of saying it in kind of financy terms is that we match up longs and shorts, like long Bitcoin versus short Bitcoin over Lightning channels, and settle very frequently so that each trade counterparty or each user can get what they want, which is either the short Bitcoin exposure, the stable dollar, or the long Bitcoin exposure. So in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Yeah. And in December last year, you broadcasted the first stable channel onto the Bitcoin mainnet. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind stable channels and how Dan Robinson's research into rainbow channels shaped your choice?
That's right. So it's an old idea, this idea of matching up longs and shorts to create like a synthetic dollar. You mentioned this concept called rainbow channels, which was the brainchild of Dan Robinson at Paradigm, which is like a crypto VC investment firm. And he had pretty much this, just what I just explained to you now about keeping one side of a payment channel stable in terms of a reference asset. And then another guy who has talked about this a lot is Arthur Hayes, another kind of like, I guess he's the BitMEX guy. And so he has had this idea for a long time too. And, I think Lightning is the good technology to use here because it is more mature. It's by far the most mature payment channel technology, like compared with payment channel technologies that are on like Ethereum or other blockchains. And, I look at the brain power working on Lightning and I just think it's going to get better and better and better. And with Lightning, you can do these really frequent settlements between your counterparties, between nodes that you're connected with, for free. And so you can minimize your counterparty risk at any given checkpoint, right? And so I thought, I had worked at a bank on stablecoin projects, and I saw where the blockchain rubber hits the banking road. And so now, we see that stablecoins are tremendously popular. Like Tether is over $100 billion. USDC is another tens of billions of dollars, right? So it's got tremendous market demand. And I think those have some potential choke points where, their usefulness may get degraded as government regulation comes in, right? And so nobody knows exactly how that's going to shake out. But Tether's got a big risk for its users because it gets shut down with a phone call from the U.S. government, essentially. And so the idea with stable channels is to try to create no tokens are involved, no banks are involved. It's just Bitcoin backed. It's just Bitcoin going back and forth. Bitcoin doing what it's good for, and plebs helping plebs. That's the idea. And so that's what I'm trying to build. And I think Lightning is the right technology to do it, despite some of its challenges right now.
And so then we have like a stable Bitcoin which benefits from the the best consensus mechanism in the world and the best way of making it decentralized. That's basically what you're trying to do, right? Instead
That's
of having all the counterparty risk, as you already elaborated about the USDT and all. I mean, for now it works, but no one can look into the future and see what governments are capable to shut down already. So
because
cool.
It also benefits from the privacy mechanisms in the Lightning channel.
It benefits from all of the upgrades that Lightning will hopefully enjoy, which is a reason I want to work on Lightning. And Bitcoin's great collateral. You can see that your counterparty actually has what your counterparty says he has, and your counterparty is doing what he says he does. So there's a lot of great reasons to build on Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you broadcasted that first channel then. It was December last year. And but you also highlighted some challenges, including the need, of course, to run a node, the risk of online keys, but also possible high transaction costs. How far is this concept from being something that we could really see used worldwide?
So I think that it's been a slow realization along the Lightning community that running Lightning nodes is difficult and it's not for everybody. And I still think it's going to get better and easier for end users, but Lightning is more of a business to business technology, in my opinion, than a business to consumer technology. And now I want to add a caveat there, because I would love to be able to run, a Lightning node on my phone and have it just work, right? And, I think we're going to continue to see like ambitious builders work towards that vision. But right now, Bitcoin can only do like 6 transactions a second. We just can't support having channels for, UTXOs for everybody that we want to serve, right? So stable channels now is more suitable for either like larger entities who have a lot more Bitcoin and can handle, a $10, $20, $30 transaction fee, like no problem. If you're doing a $10, $20, $30 transaction fee on like a $100 stable channel, then that's not going to work. But if it's for like a trader or someone who's trading, many thousands of dollars, or a business who's on the back end facilitating some other service for users, like an eCash token service, like on top of a stable channel, something like that, then it makes a lot more sense. But I think the Lightning technology will get better. We need to be patient and diligent, but I do think it'll continue to improve.
Yeah. And for end users interested in stable USD or leveraged Bitcoin exposure via the Lightning Network, how does the user experience differ from traditional financial systems or other DeFi solutions?
Right. So there's kind of two sides to that. And let's talk about the stable US dollar use case specifically. So if you want to have dollars, there's just a lot of ways you can get dollars. I mean, if you're in the US, you can have a US bank account. Presumably in Europe, you guys can have like US denominated bank accounts too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
We can hold one foreign currency in our normal bank account, yes. But you have to pay an extra fee, obviously.
Of course.
I see. And then in other countries, they don't have access to any bank accounts to get US dollars, right? And so other ways, so there's like US dollars in the US, there's these things called Euro dollars, which are US dollar bank accounts outside of the USA. And then there's like crypto dollars, and those crypto dollars are stable coins. And so now if people want the dollar exposure, they can, on the secondary markets, they can get stable coins, or through a cryptocurrency exchange, they can get stable coins. And there's also, I guess, like US dollar cash. So those are all kind of like the ways that users can get access to US dollar store of value now. And I think stable coins are probably the fastest growing. And then there's also like fintech companies. Mm-hmm. But stable coins, I think, are the fastest growing of all of those. And on the other side of the equation are people who want to leverage their Bitcoin. And so to do like a leverage long Bitcoin play, you can do a number of things. You can borrow against your Bitcoin using something like like Aave or Compound, like on Ethereum or like other DeFi protocols, and then like reinvest that money, or you can deposit your Bitcoin to an exchange called like Binance or OKX, something like that, and then do like these like perpetual swaps or like leverage long trading. So let's think about it. On the getting the US dollar thing, almost all those solutions use banks, and like they're all like KYC'd and everything. And then on the leverage trading thing, some of those are custodial and some of those use the other altcoin blockchains. So with stable channels, I'm hoping to give another tool in the toolbox that's all Bitcoin focused and for Bitcoiners, right? And so that means you have Bitcoin, you keep in Bitcoin, you don't actually trade your Bitcoin for dollars, right? You just are kind of like putting on a hedge through time. And so how that will work for end users for what I call the stable receivers, that's getting the stable value, and the stable providers, they got the levered position. How that will work for end users, I'm not quite sure yet. It's more for like developers right now, more for technical folks. But hopefully through an app-based interface that's going to be super easy for people to use, and also remain self-custodial, which is a big challenge with Lightning. But that's kind of how I see the end user interaction with all that stuff.
Yeah, and you've mentioned now the stable receivers and stable providers within a stable channel. Can you explain again more in depth, perhaps, the process of frequent settlement that occur in stable channels? Because I saw the first one, of course, there were 611 payments of $43.90 without transaction costs.
That's right.
That was interesting. How does it work?
Yeah. So let's say that Edward, you want the stable dollar exposure.
Yeah.
And so you're the stable receiver. And so on my side, I say, I actually am constructive on Bitcoin. I want to be long Bitcoin. And so the way it would work is that we start a channel with each other, and we characterize this channel as a stable channel. And so you put in 1 Bitcoin and I put in 1 Bitcoin. And so that means that there's 2 Bitcoin capacity in the channel. One's on your side, one's on my side. And again, let's say the current price is $62,000. And you say, hey, I want to stay stable at $62,000. And so what we do is every set period, let's say every minute, my Lightning node goes out and queries the current US dollar price from 5 different exchanges. So this is like Bitstamp and Coinbase.
Yeah.
All right. And so these are just it's just a regular API call. Like, give me the price, give me the price, give me the price. And so we get 5 different prices. And what the software does is it takes the median price of those. So that way you can have up to two of them be wrong, or like give you you take the median. And so then it should be, your node queries the same different prices. And so every minute, either the price has gone up, it's gone down, or it's basically just like stayed the same. Okay. Now, if the price goes up, then it takes less Bitcoin to keep you stable at $62,000. So you send a small payment over to me. And so this might be like, it's on $64,000. It might be maybe a couple on average, maybe like $1 or $2 or $3 payment every minute if we're settling that often. And so if you think about it, like if the price goes down, it takes more Bitcoin to keep you stable. So you get more Bitcoin. So let's say the price goes down a lot and you started with one Bitcoin in the channel, well, now you might have 1.1 Bitcoin in the channel and you're still stable at $64,000. That works out for you if you're a Bitcoiner. If the price goes up a lot, then you lose Bitcoin. And so if the price goes up, then I might have 1.1 Bitcoin on my side of the channel, right? And you only have 0.9 Bitcoin on your side of the channel. So I've got the leverage long position and you've got the short position. And so that frequent settlement is what ensures the peg and keeps the stable receiver stable in dollar terms. I hope that made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It does. And what other potential applications do you foresee for stable channels in the Lightning Network ecosystem? We already talked about the stable USD and leveraged BTC exposure, but are there also other potential applications?
Yeah, so one of them that I'm excited about, well, first of all, I'll mention the obvious ones, which is like payments. With Lightning, you can do like payments in and out of these stable channels and readjust the person's balance. But let's say that Edward started out with $62,000 on his side of the stable channel. But then he said, you know what, actually, I want more Bitcoin exposure. And so then he goes to me and he says, all right, instead of keeping me stable provider at $62,000 and 0 Bitcoin, just keep me stable at $31,000 and 0.5 BTC. All right. And so then he sends a message to me and it says, I want to buy Bitcoin, right? Because that's essentially what he's doing. And so in that way, we can recharacterize the services that I'm giving to him. And so in that way, we can add a trading, essentially, trading onto a platform like this, where we have the stable dollar balance, but we use that stable dollar balance to reallocate your Bitcoin position. I think that's one interesting use case. Another interesting use case would be letting users more fine-tune, customize the level of Bitcoin volatility that they want to tolerate. So in other words, it's like instead of being kept stable at the price at this exact moment, maybe it's keep me stable in the 1 year moving average or the 2 year moving average or something like that. So that way users can still benefit from the upside of Bitcoin, but also they don't have the crazy volatility. The volatility is smoothed out a little bit for the users. So it's those types of products that you can add on top of Lightning channels that I think might be really interesting for users to make it more accessible for a number of users who don't necessarily want all that volatility, or on the other end, maybe they want more volatility. So both of those.
But you could also maybe keeping it in a certain range, like 10% up and 10% down, right? And everything. And,
that sounds.
So okay, it's interesting. It is interesting. Yeah.
Hey, how do stable channels align with broader trends in decentralized finance, and where do you see it fitting into global financial ecosystem over the next 5 to 10 years? That's a lot, of course. In Lightning, it's crazy, but
yeah. So I think a lot of these so-called DeFi systems are what Adam Back calls them DINOs, DINO, decentralized in name only. Yeah. Right. And so, and I think that they're both organizationally centralized. Some of these quote unquote Tether would call itself a centralized stablecoin. So if Tether's involved in your DeFi system, and it's a very important part of your DeFi system, and Tether gets shut down, then how decentralized are you really? But even putting aside centralized stablecoins, some of these DeFi protocols are still organizationally centralized. And the other thing is that they're technologically centralized as well. I'll give you an example, which is the Uniswap contracts are Ethereum contracts that can get hacked, and I think Uniswap has not been hacked so far as I know. But having that data all in one place is a different technological design approach than Lightning has taken, which Lightning is radically decentralized, because with Lightning, thousands of nodes could go off overnight and the network will still continue, right? And that's not the way that these so-called decentralized finance systems are built right now. So I think Lightning will be more robust in the long term, but because of the focus on decentralization, and the fact that there's a lot of on-chain transactions to start these channels, it'll just be a little bit more challenging to build them out, but it'll be better in the long run.
Yeah, and for the record, you released a plugin for Core Lightning now, so it's only compatible with Core Lightning.
So it runs as a plugin for Core Lightning, and I also have an LND version working now as well. So if you have LND and you're interested in running a stable channel,
Does it work on
Okay, cool.
Umbrel?
Yeah. So Umbrel is on the way then.
Umbrel is working on Umbrel, man.
All right.
Cool. Hey, can you elaborate on the concept of non-routing channels in stable channels and how you plan to implement routing features in future updates? Because I can imagine that it's a risk of shifting the rules within the channel, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the more robust system right now is non-routing, and I'm working on adding routing in, so that way that your stable channel can connect to the rest of the network, obviously, and like make payments in and make payments out. But every time you route in, you just have to adjust the math, right? And so if Edward had $62,000 and then he sends out through me and a $1,000 payment, then we need to be like, all right, now adjust his balance down from 62,000. Now he's being kept stable at $61,000. And then Edward's node has one version of the truth, and my node has one version of the truth, and making those reconcile is a challenge. It's not an unsurmountable challenge, but it's a challenge that nonetheless. But that's obviously where we want to go. We want these channels all connected together so that folks can pay each other around the world. And that's the promise of Lightning, and that's definitely what I'm working towards.
Hey, and given some of the challenges like constant online presence, of course, and obtaining reliable price feeds, I reckon that it's built into your plugin. But what advice would you give users if they want to consider trying it for the first time and adopting stable channels with their node?
I'd reach out to me. Reach out to me on Twitter and help you set it up. And
so
I'll be
easy.
happy to sit with you and we can program it together and make it happen.
And it's fun to record it and learn about it, because that's, I can imagine that.
Yeah, maybe to follow up on that, is it possible for developers or node operators to get involved in testing, improving, or contributing to the stable channels plugin? Or?
Absolutely. It's all open source on GitHub. Maybe you guys can link to it. The stable channels, GitHub. Check it out. Contribute.
Cool.
Yeah,
let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
It sounds really promising, Tony. That's
it does.
That's for real.
Yeah. I think this is an interesting next step. It is. Makes it more mature.
Conecta el mundo.
Yeah, we have one question left for you, Tony. We had so many more questions, but I think in this project, especially this project, we need to have you back anytime soon.
Absolutely,
to discuss it even more, like we did now. So
we'd love to do it.
Awesome.
Let's do that. But first, let's play Lightning Bingo. You may choose a question asked by Bufo from Amboss Technologies, from Kemal Yazar, he's from Galloy Money, or from Michael Fischer, and he's from Opaco, the POS.
Let's do Kemal, the second guy.
Kemal,
Yazar, all right.
From Galloy.
Here it comes.
Hi, my name is Kemal from Galloy, and I have a question for you. What is the best way to protect your financial privacy? Where should you buy your Bitcoin?
I've never tried it, but I would guess BISC. I've heard BISC. Really nice things about BISC, and so I think if you're trying to get KYC Bitcoin, I would that's what I would look into. It would be BISC.
Okay.
Yeah, or just start mining, right? Because that's what BISC. Yeah.
Take some time, Steph, with one miner.
Well, you can set up a whole farm, right? I mean,
there was someone who mined the block with 10 miners. I think it wasn't a pool.
Yeah, I saw it, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he had his own small pool of his own with 10 miners
crazy.
in it, and then he found a block. Wow, man, that's crazy.
Great.
Connetti il mondo.
Yeah, thanks again, Tony. Where can people follow you, man?
The best would probably be on Twitter. My handle is Tonklaus. That's TONKLAUS.
Yeah.
And also on GitHub. Stable channels on GitHub.
Awesome. Yeah. That's definitely the place to be. Well, and thanks for everybody else, of course, for listening in. And thanks to all members participating in the Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks to everyone to help to connect the world with us. So if you like our content, then please support us in our mission and visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. So remember, we need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning. And see you all next week on the same stable channel. Namaste, toes.
Bye-bye, guys.